Police say that it's one of the oldest tactics used by thieves, and it's being used now more than ever. He was wearing his bulletproof vest, which he says saved Wester's life because he was hit in the chest and in the hip. And the concept is to bring as many prescription pills as you possibly can to a party. Then you pour them into a bowl, grab a handful, and swallow as many as you can. Teens and young adults are referring to these get-togethers as Pharm Parties. Pharm as in pharmaceuticals. Chances are, if you were to use your debit or credit card at a Kenquit gas pump, you'd be protected from coming across a skimming device. In our daily lives, it's nearly impossible to walk around without there being a camera capturing our every move. Just ask the men and women of Crime Stoppers. As you can see, the wildland fire is continuing to burn this morning and has expanded to the southeast edges of the park. This road here may look clean and empty today, but tomorrow, it could look like this. The two were here at the Acacia Apartments trying to repossess Mohammed's car when things turned deadly within just minutes. Mari Castañeda has been washing and sorting out clothes since she first got word of the tornado touching down in Acuña Sunday, and she says she wishes she could do more. Jay, roughly 30 minutes ago, the Monahans Police Department handed us this news release that explains how Imelda Dominguez ended up in jail today. One of the biggest pieces of evidence that officers look for are pieces of mail just like this one right here that usually tend to have an address and a name where they can track down these dumpers. Neighbors tell me this man was a homeless veteran whose health was in bad shape, but it was where his body was found that shocked them. Have you ever heard of a farm party?
No, I have not.
No.
No. Of a farm party before? No. I would just think of a bunch of animals.
Local medics and prevention groups say they're hard to track down, given the seemingly harmless names teens are using when referring to the parties, code names like a Skittles or trail mix party. Whether it's the bowl concept or just swapping pills, it's a real thing, and teens are partaking in these parties right here in the Permian Basin.
It's usually a small group of friends. It's usually just kind of, on the spur, on the fly type thing. Kit Bredimus is the director of emergency services at Midland Memorial Hospital. He's all too familiar with the term farm party. The trend started picking up here in 2008. Bredimus says that's when he began noticing more overdoses among children under 17 years old. Fortunately, the numbers began to drop and have since fallen to an average of 40 for the past 5 years. Last year, they saw a total of 41. Typically, the most common overdose we see is usually the opiate narcotics, usually leftover medications, and in children, in the teenager population, we typically see that either being the parents, that they've outdone their prescription, they don't need them anymore, they just had them laying around. Bredimus recalls one particular teen who was rushed to the hospital for overdosing at one of these parties. It made it extremely difficult to identify what exactly had been ingested, simply for the fact that they had just placed a bunch of different pills into a bowl to see what the effect would be. While the teen did survive, Bredimus says if treatment isn't done within an hour of the overdose, the chances of having a full recovery are slim.
He knocks, he stops, he listens to the door, he knocks again, he listens some more, he knocks, then he leaves. About a month ago, Ashley Boldis was home alone when she says a strange man came knocking on her door. A couple of days later, the same man returned, but this time her husband was home to open the door. The guy just kind of like freaks out and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, wrong apartment," and runs away. Police refer to this as door knock burglaries. Corporal Steve LeSueur with the Odessa Police Department says they're seeing more home burglaries than ever before and have already made 2 arrests since Saturday.
One subject will knock on the front door. Basically, they're just trying to see if the person's home. And if they're not home, then they'll simply, a lot of times they'll walk to the back of the residence, sometimes to the alley, and burglarize the residence. Corporal LeSueur suggests that neighbors keep an eye out for one another through a website called Nextdoor and to never leave any doors or windows unlocked. He says one of the best things you can do is invest in an alarm system. The vast majority of the homes that do have alarms, they don't get broken into. I mean, they may be attempted, but they never have anything taken.
No repossession is ever the same. We've had people be a lot more upset with us than, in some, but well.
Nothing that severe. Jimmy Tillman remembers the shooting as if it was just yesterday. He and Brandon Russell were in the process of repossessing 29-year-old Khalifa Mohammed's car when they realized Mohammed was actually inside of it.
Best way I can explain it is just that it was a repossession that had gone wrong. There wasn't much that, either me nor Brandon could have done to prevent it.
Turned around to a disturbance at Oakwood and University. It's going to be between complainant and somebody trying to repossess his vehicle. The PSR can hear arguing and heard somebody mention a taser.
According to these court documents, Mohammed was the first to call 911 as Tillman and Russell were attempting to confiscate his car. Mohammed could be heard saying, "Why didn't you let me get my stuff?" before the line disconnected. Meanwhile, as Tillman was hooking the car to tow, Mohammed slipped into the driver's side of his tow truck. Tillman then went to the passenger side of the truck, holding up a stun gun and demanded that he get out. Mohammed obeyed, and Tillman drove off, expecting Russell to follow behind, but instead heard at least 9 shots fired and found his co-worker unresponsive in his unit.
We're not out there to be the bad guy. We're out there just to do a job. I mean, Brandon was a great person. He didn't deserve this at all.
Tillman mentioned that it was tough reading Mohammed's aggression because he would go back and forth from being calm and angry. Now, he did mention that this tragedy will cause him and his co-workers to be more alert and aware of their surroundings. Now, on another note, Tatum, the family is still collecting donations for Russell's funeral expenses, and those who wish to make a contribution can visit our website at cbs7.com.
Ninja Turtle!
Have you ever had a Ninja Turtle deliver pizza to you?
Yes! No, you never have.
Is this the first time? It's every boy's dream come true to have a hero in a half shell pay you a visit, let alone deliver dinner to your front doorsteps.
I'm smiling, but you can't see it. I got the mask on, but it's priceless seeing them kids.
Eloy Paye, his brother, and their wives dress up like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles every Thursday and Friday to deliver pizzas, all to keep the bills paid. Last February, Paye and his brother, both mechanics, had their pay cut by 10% and their hours reduced drastically.
At first, it wasn't too hard, but then over a while, it started hurting, All that money we had saved up, it's pretty much gone.
The orders are made through their Facebook page, and let's just say business is booming for the family.
We were like, oh my gosh, we have to do this. It was like we didn't even think twice about it.
Oh, I was excited for the kids.
Paye and his family never thought they would be delivering pizzas as Raphael or Michelangelo, but love every second of it.
Say bye, Gina.
Now, Jay and Tatum, you have to give me a little credit for not telling that entire story without saying cowabunga. Now, to place your orders, just visit our website at cbs7.com. In the studio, DeAnn Lopez, CBS 7 News. A living miracle is how doctors describe correctional officer Jason Self. The father of 5 has been told by every one of his doctors that if it weren't for the initial care he received at the scene of the crash, he'd be dead right now. In the 10 years that Orlando Rios has been with the Odessa Fire and Rescue Department, he's never seen or worked a crash as horrific as the one Jason was in.
I'd imagine that wreck over and over and over.
It was just before 8 a.m. when the prison transport bus hit a damaged guardrail on I-20 near Penwell. The driver lost control and skidded off an icy overpass and down an embankment where it collided with a passing train.
So is this Mr. Orlando?
Yes, ma'am.
It was an emotional moment. Jason and his wife Michelle met the EMT who saved his life.
Thank you.
Jason, 2 of his fellow correctional officers, and 12 inmates were on their way from the Middleton prison in Abilene to the Sanchez unit in El Paso. Minutes before reaching Penwell, one of the other correctional officers swapped spots with Jason, who was driving at the time, prompting him to take a seat in the back of the bus.
They said that
The only seat that was still attached to the bus was the one I was in.
Orlando and his partner were the first paramedics to arrive at the scene. They knew they had to act quickly but carefully. After assessing the wreck, it looked like the back of the bus would be the easiest path to reach what appeared to be multiple lifeless bodies. People on the scene helped Orlando open the back door.
I couldn't tell what was what.
Debris was scattered everywhere, blocking all paths to the front of the bus. Orlando was getting ready to close the door when he saw fingers slowly moving. One had a wedding ring on it.
And it was shining. I mean, the sun wasn't out, but it was still shining. And I explained to Jason, with all the blood on him and everything, that ring stuck out. He just kept telling me to get him home, keep him alive, talk to him. He's married, has a baby.
Orlando expected spinal injuries, so he immediately called for a device known as a KED. The device, which is much like a brace, was wrapped around Jason's body to keep his head, neck, and torso from moving.
Come to find out, his neck was broken in 3 different pieces, and a doctor said that man and that device saved your life.
There isn't a day that's gone by that Orlando hasn't stopped to think of how Jason's recovery is going. How does it feel, to be here now?
Very, very warming, I guess, very heartfelt. Just to see your children, hanging out with you, and just your family continues. So
I love him so much. I'm glad that Orlando got my dad out of the bus and saved him and saved his life.
Although Jason continues to make astonishing improvements, he still has a long road ahead. Doctors say it will be another 2 years until they know what injuries are permanent and which are not. Aside from breaking his neck, Jason also suffered a broken jaw, left shoulder blade, arm, ribs, collapsed lung, and partial brain damage.
Sometimes I have a hard time remembering things, or when I'm talking, I lose track kind of what I'm talking about, or I can't find the words that I'm looking for. I can't, I can draw blanks.
What worries the family the most is the fear of the unknown. Just 10 years shy of his retirement, Jason thought his family's future was secure.
It just stresses me out. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what like looking for a job. If I had to go look for a job tomorrow, I'd be scared to death. I wouldn't know, who would hire me.
Jason is still on the Middleton prison's payroll, and his medical bills are being taken care of by the state. But the family has concerns about how long that financial support will continue.
Every time I look in the mirror, I see these scars. It's just a constant reminder. And the pain every day, it's hard to get past. Hard to get over that hump.
His family has a message for the man who saved his life.
Tonight is probably the first night he's going to be able to go to bed, and he's like, I know how he's doing tonight. I know he's at home. I know he's with his kids. I know how he's doing tonight. And he's going to sleep good because he knows he has an end. But I want him to know that this isn't an end. This is a beginning. Because through this all, we have all developed a whole new family. And I want him to know that he is a part of ours.
DeAnn Lopez, CBS 7 News.